Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 122-128 loss to the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, before we get into this game, lots of stuff to talk about tonight. There's a couple things I want to mention. I missed the game reaction for the Golden State Warriors. I apologize for that. For people that don't know, I'm in exam season, Rikers out in Europe, so I've been trying to record as many solo pods as I can, get all the game reactions out to you guys, but it's tough during final season to always get home in time for the library and still get some sleep. So I apologize. We're going to be back to consistent videos being uploaded. We've only missed one, but everything should be back to normal next Thursday. I'm finished finals then. Riker's back from Europe, so the Raptors Digest will be back to normal. And I'm trying to keep everyone updated on when I'm unable to upload a podcast on the Instagram, so follow us there if you guys want to, stay tuned, stay in the loop on when podcasts are coming out. But yeah, quick little update. Just wanted to let you guys know things are back to normal next Thursday, and I'm going to try and get not miss any more games, but there might be one or two at the beginning of next week that I end up missing. I'm going to try not to. I'm going to try and get all my study done and be efficient with my study time. But yeah, anyways, enough of my updates. I'm going to also talk about the Golden State Warriors a bit at the end of this podcast, but let's get straight into this Blazers game because there's lots of stuff to talk about. The Toronto Raptors came in here. Portland's been struggling as of late, but they're still a phenomenal team, and they came out and they came ready to go from the start to the finish. Kawhi started off this game pretty slow. He's just coming back from injury. He's missed the past couple games with, I believe, a hip sort of deal. First quarter wasn't looking too hot. Got better and better as the game went along, started to look like the superstar we all know he is as the game progressed, but it seemed like every time the Raptors got something going, and there's a lot of positives to take away from the Raptors tonight. This wasn't by any means an awful loss, but Portland just played a very solid game, and there's some other factors that went into play, but the starters for the Toronto Raptors played pretty well tonight. Kawhi Leonard, after that first quarter, came back, bounced back, looked like the Kawhi Leonard we're all used to seeing, 28 points, 4 assists, 6 rebounds, 8 of 17 from the field. Great game from Kawhi. And Fred VanVleet, with Kyle Lowry out tonight, he really stepped up, showed up to this game. 21 points for Fred, 8 assists, hit some big-time shots down the stretch. Obviously, the Raptors couldn't get the win, but it was really nice to see Fred, with Kyle Lowry out, really step up as the lead guard. I know he's been playing the point guard the last couple games, and Kyle Lowry at the 2, but yeah, now tonight he's the sole dribbler, sole ball handler on the court, and he looked really good. Looked really good game from Fred VanVleet tonight. Hopefully he keeps it up. Obviously, Fred has had an up and down season, and the past few games he's been back. He's been back to normal. Hopefully this is a trend that continues. Shout out to Fred VanVleet. The team is so much better when he's playing well, and I mention on every pod, Fred and Kyle are playing well. The team plays well, and Fred played well, and the starting unit looked really nice tonight. So shout out to Fred. Great game for him. And Serge Ibaka, 18 points, 6 rebounds. Really did a lot of his damage at the beginning of this game, and as the game went along, sort of tailed off a little bit. It looked like he was a bit fatigued. Obviously, Serge Ibaka, it seemed like last year, every game on a back-to-back, the second game of back-to-back, he'd just do nothing, and he just looked fatigued. It hasn't really been the case this season, but it looked like he was a bit tired through points tonight. At the end of the game, had a 3-point shot he could have taken to tie or to cut it within 3, didn't take it. He was probably just gassed, I can't blame Serge Ibaka. He's been phenomenal. He's probably been our most consistent player of the season, especially where Kawhi's been in and out of the lineup. So 18 points and 6 rebounds, still a great game. Didn't really happen too much at the end, but when the Raptors were down a bit at the beginning, it was Serge that really did a good job at keeping us in the game, keeping us from getting blown out. In that third quarter, it was really nice to see. Danny Green, 19 points, hit a bunch of big threes, 5 for 7 from the 3-point line, and 11 rebounds for Danny Green too, which is huge for our starting 2 guard. Danny Green, when he's hitting shots, it's all great. Starting lineup played really, really well tonight. Where the Raptors struggled, and it makes sense, is off the bench. Now, it's not necessarily the fact that these bench players played bad as individuals. It's just when they were on the court, they were just extremely outplayed by the Blazers bench. Zach Collins on the Blazers had 16 points. Nick Stauskas had 13. Evan Turner had 12. Seth Curry had 13. The Blazers bench just killed our squad, and it's kind of unfortunate because our bench didn't play that bad in my opinion, individually. DeLon Wright has to be better. For all the Raptors that have been getting flack, I read our comments. Kyle Lowry gets bashed every second night. Fred VanVleet was getting roasted for a while. Jonas, once he has one bad game, he's been great all season, but once he has one bad game, obviously he can't guard the pick and roll. Everyone knows that, but once he has one bad game, everyone flames him. DeLon Wright's a guy that really should be playing better. He's 27 years old. He was playing, he looked like he was showing improvement on the bench mob last season, and his three-point shot looked like it was going to be improved, and at the start of the season, preseason, it looked like his three-point shot was going to be nice this year. He could be really that main guy off the bench, that two-guard, along with Fred VanVleet, that could get to the rim, hit threes, play defense, all that sort of stuff. But he really hasn't had that much of an impact in many games this season. It's unfortunate because I really like DeLon Wright's game. I like that he's a long creator. He has all the physical tools and the basketball skills to have a great impact on the game off the bench. And people, at points last season, people were saying that DeLon Wright should be a starter in this league. Now, this year, it's been he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. He gets lost on the court out there. He doesn't really stand out. And tonight's another game like that. 2 points for DeLon Wright, 5 assists, which is pretty solid. But, I really think DeLon Wright, I'd like to see him step up more. Especially in games where we have a lot of injuries and all that sort of stuff. DeLon Wright needs to be better. He's in a contract year. If he wants that big money in the offseason, similar, maybe not. Well, like Fred VanVleet only got a 2-year, $9 million per year contract, and I'm sure DeLon Wright, being 27, which I believe he is, wants a nice long-term deal with where he gets paid. And I'm surprised he's just not going out there and being a little bit more impactful. I'd like to see DeLon Wright have a bit more of an impact. He's the guy I was most disappointed with off the bench. Tonight, we also got to see a lot of Greg Monroe. Obviously, Jonas is out with that broken thumb or dislocated thumb. He's in a cast for his thumb. Not sure what the specific medical diagnosis is, but Moose came out of this game, and I thought he'd have a bit more of an impact because usually when he's gotten minutes this season, he's showed up and played pretty well. He had 6 points. He's not bad on that. He's never really bad on the offensive end. He had a few turnovers tonight, which is kind of a rare scene because he's such a good passer and he's a really good decision maker down the block, but 3 turnovers, only 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 13 minutes of action. And he kind of slows things down. And I think that's a big reason as to why the Portland Trailblazers bench went off, and especially Zach Collins. Zach Collins is a three-point kind of space-the-floor, mobile type of big man, modern NBA big man. And Greg Monroe's kind of the old prototypical. He's Jonas, but to an extreme. A guy that's a brute down low. He can't really shoot from outside. He just tries to get all of his buckets in the paint, and he plays defense for the paint. So he really struggled in this game, in my opinion, on the defensive end. If I was Nick Nurse personally, I would have threw him on Nurkic because they're more size-wise. Jonas always plays a good game when he plays against Nurkic. It's because they're two brooding big men. That's like the old NBA. I think Greg Monroe could have played really well against Nurkic if he was matched up against him more, but he was matched up against more mobile guys, and unfortunately that's not Greg Monroe's strength, especially on the defensive end. So in my opinion, he struggled tonight. OG, he's in a funk. We're just waiting for him to break out of it. He hit a 3 tonight. I'd love to see OG have a couple breakout games. That's one thing I'd really like to see. But the guy that got the monkey off his back, he's been struggling all year. In my opinion, might be his best game this season, or at least best game in the past month or so. CJ Miles, 13 points, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. The Raptors were down at the end of the game. They really needed some shots and stuff to get back in it. CJ Miles hit some nice threes down the stretch of this game. So shout out to CJ. Unfortunately, not that it was wasted, but we have CJ Miles hit a few shots and we end up losing the game, which is unfortunate, as I think, if he can hit shots on a consistent basis, he would be such an asset for this team. 3-point shooting is so valuable, and the Raptors have really struggled this season. All of our losses really are games where we don't shoot that well. Aside from tonight, we shot the 3 ball as a team pretty well tonight, but there's a few other things that went into the loss. Obviously the bench and a few other things I'll get into, but yeah, the Raptors need 3-point shooting consistency. If CJ Miles can bring that, hopefully maybe this is a epiphany game for CJ or something like that, because if he can do that, that'd be very positive for this team going forward. Honestly, it's an unfortunate loss, this one tonight to the Blazers, but I'm not too shook up about it. A lot of people played well. The bench really didn't have the greatest matchups. We have Lowry, Jonas, and Norm out. Those guys will be coming back. Lowry, obviously, a huge part to this team. But before we get to the Kawhi doom like that, Pascal Siakam took a spill to the floor, got hurt. There's no real update on his injury as of right now, but he didn't come back in this game. Obviously, Pascal Siakam, with Kyle Lowry out, it's probably our second, third best player. He's been amazing this season. I think he should be an all-star, but honestly, I'm shaking my boots a little bit because Serge Ibaka has really continued to pick up his play, so maybe he might get the third all-star selection, but anyway, regardless, Pascal Siakam's been awesome this year. And with all the injuries that we have, it would be really unfortunate to lose him. Obviously, we just called up Chris Boucher, who I'm surprised didn't get some run tonight, especially where I think he would have been a decent matchup against the mobile, lanky big men of the Portland Trail Blazers. Obviously, Chris Boucher has the skill, and he's been tearing up the D-League. I think he had 47 points in the last 905 game. So Chris Boucher got the skills. The reason why Chris Boucher is not getting consistent NBA minutes and he's not on a team and he's a two-way contract guy, not an NBA guy, is because he's very small. He's tall and lanky, but he's thin. He's a very thin man, so it's tough for him to bang around with some of the bigger guys in the NBA on a consistent night-by-night basis, but I'd like to see him try. I'd like to see him out there and see if his skill will overcome his small frame. But tonight, I think, would have been a good test for him, as obviously I mentioned it before in the pod, the Blazers bench is not thick guys. They're not very big. Zach Collins especially, their power forward. I think that would have been a good matchup for Chris Boucher, so hopefully Siakam's healthy, but if he isn't, then it might be interesting to see some Boucher. It might lead to some losses, some test him out games, but Chris Boucher is an interesting player. He's dominating the D-League. He's got that slight frame, but he's a very skilled guy, so he's an intriguing guy on our deep bench. Anyways, tonight the Kawhi you do him like that play of the day. It's going to Fred VanVleet down the stretch of this game. He had some very clutch shots. It looked like the Blazers had this one in the bag. Hit some clutch shots. Fred playing with our heartstrings. Definitely the Kawhi you do him like that. Kawhi you do us like that, Fred. If you're gonna get us hyped like that, don't lose the game. No, but in all seriousness, clutch shots by Fred. That's what we like to see out of Fred VanVleet. It's what we saw of him last year. Never afraid to hit the big shots. Not all plays can be the Kawhi you do him like that play of the day, and some just make you say, "Oh, geez." And tonight, the "Oh, geez" play of the day, it's going to the Portland Trail Blazers. It's not a play. They had a good game and all that, but they were dropping confetti at the end of this game. Now, obviously, we can't talk too much as Raptors fans. We haven't won a chip or anything, and we have a couple Atlantic Division banners raised and all that sort of stuff, so we can get flamed for celebrating random things. But confetti, you don't drop confetti after a regular season win. I know we're the best team in the league by record-wise right now, and we just beat the Warriors twice, so maybe it's cause for celebration in Portland, but yeah, definitely made me say, "Oh, geez," watching the broadcast. And finally, the Damari Carroll Gold Star Award, and people that listen to the pod, I get flamed for not talking about the referees enough because they're sometimes bad at the Toronto Raptors. I hate to blame games on it, and I'm not blaming this loss on the refs, but there was some weird calls tonight. There was some weird stuff. Nick Nurse, he was ready. Nick Nurse, Kawhi, they've been going at it at the refs the whole night because it was not a great look, in my opinion, objectively watching this game. Usually refs are fine. If they're bad, they're usually bad both ways. But tonight, it looked a bit shaky. You're getting the Damari Carroll Gold Star referees. I hate to do that. I don't like blaming it on the refs. I don't think that's why we lost. But yeah, it was a tough look. We could also give it to Raptors for injuries. Injuries are always getting the Damari Carroll Gold Star Award. Hopefully people come back healthy. That's my thoughts on the Portland Trail Blazers game. We lost it fair and square. The Blazers had a good game. They're a good team. But I'm not shook up about it, especially with the fact that we beat the Golden State Warriors the game prior. Without Kawhi Leonard, with Jonas Valanciunas going down, Kyle Lowry struggling as of late. He had a good game against the Clippers before, but he's been in a little funk. Fred just bouncing out of a little funk. On the Golden State Warriors home court, every player on the Golden State Warriors besides Boogie's there didn't look good for the Toronto Raptors going into that night. People I talked to said no chance the Raptors are going to win this one. We came out and we blew them out. Now, I don't want to weigh too much heavily into this game, as watching it, the Warriors did look a bit off. It's very rare to see. Obviously, our defense had a lot to do with that, but there's a few open ones that they missed that I think could have swung the momentum of the game. They usually hit those momentum-changing shots, but nonetheless, the Toronto Raptors never took their foot off the gas. Kyle Lowry was just absolutely amazing. People that disrespect Kyle Lowry, I always get flamed for backing my guy. We gotta stop as a fan base. The Toronto Raptors are the best team in the NBA right now. When we have one or two bad games, when our players struggle for a game or two, we gotta stop trying to say how we should trade them all for a second-round pick or something like that. Kyle Lowry, yes, he's not consistent like a guy like Damian Lillard might be, but he's a 4-time All-Star. He's going to be a 5-time All-Star after this season. He's our leader. We saw the impact that he would have had a huge impact on the game tonight. When he's on the court, the team plays better. When he's playing well, the team plays amazing. So he's the Toronto Raptors leader. We need to put some respect on Kyle Lowry's name. He's an absolute beast. Played phenomenal against the Clippers, the Warriors, and was a big reason why we got that W. He was a driving factor as to why the Raptors continued to play, continue to have their foot on the gas against the Warriors. He was driving to the net, and that's what I was saying, especially when he was in that funk. He's got to stop, because when Kyle Lowry's bad and having low-scoring games, it's usually because he's settling for too many threes. My biggest issue with Kyle Lowry is when he settles for too many threes, because he's such a good player. He's phenomenal at getting to the rim, getting shots around the basket, the little floaters, those little post fades, those dump off passes. When he's attacking, he's a phenomenal player, and then the 3-point shots will come from that. When he settles too much for three, that's when you see his scoring numbers go down. But he usually plays a phenomenal game all around regardless. So, yeah, just my little rant on Kyle Lowry. He's a big reason why we won that Warriors game. But, yeah, a lot of people played well. Serge had 20 points. Kyle Lowry 23. Fred VanVleet only 10 points, but he was in the starting point guard position, and he did a really good job at manning the point, getting us shots when we needed, doing Fred VanVleet things. That's what we like to see out of Frederick. And Danny Green, only 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. The Warriors defense is absolutely phenomenal. That's why they're a championship team. And Danny Green, obviously known for his 3-point shooting, but he's sneaky good at scoring in other ways. He can drive the ball a little bit. We saw him post up Steph Curry a lot. That was a good strategy that either Nick Nurse implemented or Kyle Lowry just saw and kept feeding to him. So that was a really cool thing to see. It was just awesome to see the team, obviously a depleted bench. Everyone came in. No one really had standout games. Honestly, no one really had a standout game in that Warriors game. You don't see any huge numbers off the box score. Lowry 23 and 12, which is really nice. But aside from that, Serge 20, Pascal 13 off the bench, OG 4, no one above 10 points off the bench. CJ hit a few threes. CJ, I guess I said tonight was the real monkey off the back game. The Warriors hit a couple threes too, so that's great to see CJ have a couple nice back-to-back good games. But yeah, that Warriors game had huge implications. We swept the Warriors this season. We sweat them, and if we make it to the finals, hopefully, not looking too far ahead, it's great to have that mental hurdle. We know we can beat this team. That's always a positive factor going into a playoff series, but that's long ways away. We have to get through the Eastern Conference first. A lot of good teams out here, but yeah, I was really happy with that Warriors game. Probably the biggest win of this season so far. Obviously, I mentioned all the factors why. Raptors are good. We lost tonight. A lot of factors went into it. Injuries, refereeing. It hurts me to say that because I hate blaming games on refs. But that's how it goes. We're on a Western Coast road trip. We've won the games we needed to win. Obviously I want to win all the games, but if we had to choose a few games to win, you want to beat the Clippers because they're always rumored to get Kawhi Leonard, and you want to beat the Warriors because they're the NBA champions, and the rest of them, they're great games. We want to win them all, but those are the big ones that we came and showed up for, so I'm happy with that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of those past two games. As I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to try and keep everyone updated on the Instagram when pods are coming out. Everything will be back to normal next week, but at the end of next week, at the beginning of next week, I sincerely apologize if I don't get a couple podcasts out. I got a couple tough exams at the start of next week, so I know a lot of you guys are in final season too, so I appreciate the support. A lot of you guys have been really friendly in the DMs. I expect to get flamed a bit, especially for missing probably the biggest game of the year, but yeah, no, I appreciate all your support. We really appreciate you guys supporting the channel, and I know we've been getting a couple DMs about Riker, where he's been. He's been traveling across Europe, staying in those hostels, sharing rooms with people. So it's been tough for him to get on a podcast, even watch the games. So he'll be back. Riker's not going anywhere. We're excited for this Christmas break now. We have a lot of cool things planned for this channel and Courtside Connect. Anyways, enough of me rambling. You're the best for listening this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. Raptors lost tonight. W against the Warriors. Hopefully we continue to get wins. Anyways, I'm signing off. Cheers.